Gentlemen, it's the mystery that doesn't seem to end, and I got to tell you, CNN's ratings have gone way up. People are riveted to this story of the missing airliner, even though, you know, the stories today seem almost the same as they were yesterday and the day before and the day before that. There's not a whole lot that's new, and theories that were once brought up and then shot down, no pun intended, are then, you know, raised again as new theories, and it just goes on and on. But let's try to get as much information from one of the best. President of Boyd Group International and renowned aviation expert Mike Boyd is with us. Hi, Mike.
How are you doing, sir?
I am wonderful. How are you?
Just great.
All right. I mean, this has to be, you know, driving you nuts more than it is me, because as much as we all would like to know, I mean, this is a field of expertise for you. And let me start maybe at the end. What do you think happened to the plane?
Well, clearly it was headed to another direction. It was taken over, or it was directed by the crew. There's no question about that anymore. I mean, and they probably knew that 3 hours into this crisis, and you know, the Malaysian military, which I think is a scary term anyway, just let people run around in circles.
Yeah, they gave misinformation, disinformation, and they probably knew a lot more than they were telling us. What is the key piece of information, or the pieces that lead you to your conclusion?
Well, first of all, the Malaysian military said that they had on radar that the airplane did a 180. Well, right away, you know, you don't send people to go search for an airplane where it wasn't going, which is what they did. Secondly, the disinformation that's come out of the Kuala Lumpur government, it's a Keystone Cops. At one point, there was a story that this airplane had descended, 40,000 feet in 1 minute. Not unless it became a baby grand piano. Nothing falls that fast. But this is a kind of misinformation that we've gotten. They should know better. And obviously, there's something going on they're not telling us.
All right. Well, we're talking now about a mysterious 30-minute gap. We're talking about the expected transmission did not happen as planned. We're hearing that the pilot who said goodnight, that after that final goodnight, now it was heard from again, or tracked after that point. Like I said, it just keeps changing. What is the likelihood in your mind that this plane is on the ground somewhere?
50-50. I mean, somebody wanted that airplane. I mean, if they wanted to crash the airplane, they could have done it and made a big splash, in the media. But right now, we don't know. But they wanted that airplane. They wanted a 777, a long-range airplane, to do something with it later on. So right now, the ball or the plane is in their court, not in ours.
Yeah, well, of course, and then there's all kinds of speculation that we could get into as to why they would have wanted the airplane. Now, talk about what would be involved in landing that plane, in flying undetected through radar, and in getting to a strip. What kind of? I mean, they would have needed a strip large enough to land that kind of thing. So, what does all that tell you?
Well, you'd need a runway probably about 6,000, 7,000 feet. That airplane normally is much more than that. But, to land it, they could land it. And if it's an empty airplane with a full load of fuel, maybe 6,000, 7,000 feet, they might be able to get it off the ground and go wherever they want to go with it, with whatever they're carrying. But I think there's a lot of places they could have gone with that airplane probably. And radar contact is not universal across the globe. They can get out from under that, so they turned off the transponder and other equipment. So we really don't know where they could have gone, but we know they went someplace.
So if a country was in on this, let's say, not the country, not Malaysia, but if a country was in on this, or a location was in on this, they could just claim that they didn't see the plane and they don't know where it is. But would that have been possible that a country could be in cahoots, whether it's Pakistan or some other, Indonesia, wherever? If they wanted that plane, could they have pulled this off?
Yeah, or some group in some remote region of some country.
Yeah. That
could certainly be it. I mean, we don't know how many, abandoned strips there are in Indonesia, for example. But they're out there, and that could happen. Now, again, the airplane could have been taken someplace and just run into the ocean, but I just think someone wanted that airplane, and we don't know what that was for, but we better be aware it could happen.
Well, if it was in the ocean, now I know we've expanded the search, but if it was in the ocean, wouldn't we be hearing the pings?
Not necessarily, because it's big ocean. It's like 6 times the size of the U.S., so it's a big ocean. But at some point in time crossing, I mean, there's a lot of parts of that airplane that will still be afloat if it hit the ground or hit the water.
Right.
I mean, not for much longer, but you're going to see some stuff for some period of time. But it's not uncommon. It's not unheard of that airplanes have disappeared over the ocean. But it is uncommon. I never heard of before. But does a 180 and flies back over toward where it came.
Yeah, that is very weird. Now, just dispel this myth or educate me, maybe is a better way to put it, on flying under the radar. Would this plane, because nobody picked it up on radar as far as we know, would it have had to have flown low, like under whatever they were saying, about 5,000 feet, or is that a myth?
No, the thing is, it's not a radar ping, ping, ping. The radar usually picks up their transponder that was turned off. And if the airplane was flying under 5,000 feet, it was burning an enormous amount of fuel. Those airplanes, when you're down probably twice the fuel would burn at, say, 40,000 feet. So I don't think that's necessarily the case because, the ping, ping radar is not always on over the ocean. So they probably could have pulled that off.
So you mean a plane could just shut its radar off, its transponders off, and fly, and nobody on any radar would see it?
That's right, because there isn't any radar. I mean, over the middle of the Pacific, there's no radar out there.
So what about, and this is a stupid question maybe, what about, enemy jets or something? I mean, if they don't fly with transponders, you mean our military or another country's military wouldn't be able to pick them up on radar?
Oh, yeah, they would. But in the middle of the Indian Ocean, it's not there.
Oh, okay, because of where it was, yeah.
And keep in mind, over that area, there are a lot of airplanes flying around normally. So, you could have just gotten in that pattern and just gotten through that way. But the reality of it is, it got through. We know that.
Yeah.
Now, the hows and the wheres is not important. It's now going to be why and what they're going to do with it.
Now, let me ask you one more, and that is the pilot with the simulator in his home. How common, in your experience, is that?
Not at all. I mean, if these were not card-carrying members of the Alpha Pilots Union, I don't think they make a whole lot of money. And having that at his home, it's kind of a Hobby Lobby thing, but I don't know why he would do that. That could have been for further training. But let's face it, the guy was a pilot on a 777. He didn't need a simulator. Yeah,
and what nefarious use could the simulator have helped him with?
I would suspect the kind of a simulator he'd have in his home wouldn't be one of these $8 million full-motion simulators that airlines use. So it probably couldn't help at all.
So it might be meaningless. You think they're going to find this plane, Mike?
It might find us. That's what scares me.
You mean it might be, you mean by that you mean it might be used as a terror instrument?
It could be. Somebody wanted that airplane, and they wanted a long-range airplane. So yeah, it could be.
Okay. Well, that's not a good thought, but it's realistic. Mike, thank you very much for your time, sir.
My pleasure, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Mike Boyd, president of Boyd Group International, aviation expert, of course, and that is a huge, huge concern of many people. And to hear him say the plane might find us, it is a humongous plane, 777, and it's got tons and tons and tons of fuel that lets it fly for hours on end, 10, 12 hours, whatever. And there was a story on Breitbart today that Israel is on high alert because there's a lot of speculation that plane may have been taken, and the intent is to take it off from wherever it is and crash it into Israel. Now, Israel has air defenses, and Israel would shoot it down immediately, I would assume, unless they succeed in camouflaging it, or unless they succeed of passing it off as a passenger jet, a passenger airliner that's in distress. Who knows what they will try to pull? But countries beware. Every country beware. What's that? They could fly up to 9,000 miles, says Adam, and Adam knows. He knows all. All right, folks. We're coming back with the segment we like to call "Gimme 5." And not only do we like to call it that, we do call it that because it's 5 minutes in length and it's the end of the hour, and I think you're going to like it right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax Television.
The Steve Malzberg Show.